Hello everyone, I'm Joel Chasnoff and welcome to FIDF Live, our new Friends of the IDF broadcast experience. We have such an exciting program today, so let's jump right in with an exclusive base visit to the Flying Cats of Unit 669, the Israeli Air Force's elite airborne search and rescue unit. 669's primary purpose is to participate in search and rescue missions whenever and wherever, no matter the situation. The soldiers of 669 train for 18 months, one of the longest, most strenuous, and psychologically demanding in the IDF. Most of 669's rescue missions have been close to home, but once in a while they've also been instrumental in operations thousands of miles away, like in Nepal in the aftermath of the devastating earthquake in 2015. The 669 Airborne Search and Rescue Unit is currently adopted by FIDF's San Francisco chapter. So hey, San Francisco, thank you so much for your ongoing commitment to the well-being of this storied Special Forces unit. So what is this whole adoption thing all about? Well, one of the most unique opportunities through FIDF is the Adopt a Unit program. This is where entire brigades, battalions, combat units, Navy flotillas, and Air Force squadrons receive direct support from a specific FIDF supporter or community in the U.S. Through this program, a direct and very special connection is formed between the unit and its adopters. When you adopt a unit, you benefit the soldiers' welfare and well-being through food vouchers, a commander's fund used to boost soldier morale, and special grants given by commanders to those soldiers who are experiencing financial distress. So now, let us experience firsthand the strength, passion, and dedication of the soldiers of the 669 unit.
הגיע עוד קטנות ינסות לאסוף אותנו, איך שהוא מגיע נכנסים פנימה.
In November 2020, Staff Sergeant Jarrell Turner from the United States Army was the lone survivor in a tragic helicopter crash in the Sinai Peninsula. At the time, Staff Sergeant Turner was serving as a multinational force observer. When Israel received word that the helicopter went down, the Israeli Air Force's 669 unit immediately answered the call. They rescued Staff Sergeant Turner from Egypt and brought him to Israel so he could receive urgent, life-saving medical care. Today, I am joined by Lieutenant N, one of the soldiers from 669 who rescued Staff Sergeant Turner after that terrible accident. Due to IDF security restrictions, we will not be able to show Lieutenant N's face or use his full name. Please welcome Lieutenant N. Lieutenant N, thank you for joining us and welcome to FIDF Live.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Now I want to take you back to that day that this helicopter accident happened. You received a call. You guys are on your base in the south of Israel. You get a call that there's a crash in Sinai. You're the team leader. What do you remember? What happens next?
First of all, it was very unique mission, not one of the normal things that we're doing. The first thing that I did was to call my team. There was a siren in the base. Everyone come to one place. We talk a little bit about the mission, what we're going to do, taking our gear, and goes to the helicopters, trying to get as much as information as we can.
And did you know what you were going to do, or is it as you're on your way, you're figuring out what's going to happen? Because this is an emergency. You really are just hearing about it now. So to what extent are you ready, and to what extent are you planning as you are traveling on the way?
We start to take a little pieces of information, and everyone in the team knows exactly what is job. But you're right, in the first few minutes, we piecing the puzzles together, and then we're going on the way.
Emotionally, do you feel excited or nervous or scared, or is it too fast for you to feel anything?
We're very trained to do this kind of stuff. In Israel, it's called אפס ל-100, going from
0
to 100. You think about nothing, just focused on the mission.
And this is Sinai. This is part of Egypt. So do you go into Egypt, or do they bring him to you? How does that happen?
At the first few minutes, we didn't know if we're gonna go to Sinai or land in Israel, in the Israeli-Egypt border. Few minutes before we got to the land zone, we realized that there's a helicopter from the American helicopter, which bring the injured soldier to us.
And one thing that strikes me about the story is the connection, the bond between the U.S. military and the IDF, that you're rescuing one of theirs and you're working together to make sure this guy stays alive.
I think it represents a lot about the Israeli-American connection and friendship.
When you see Staff Sergeant Jarrell Turner for the first time, how close is he? What's his situation? I mean, can you reveal that? Was he? I know he was badly injured. So when you look at him, what are you assessing in that first look?
At the first look, you can see that he's not in a good shape. And the first things that I did was to tell my team that to be very sensitive about this guy, and tell him that we're gonna take care of him and give him the best treatment that we can.
And you're bringing him into Israel at that point for the medical treatment.
Yeah, at this point we took him from the American helicopter and bring him to our helicopter.
And are you working on him on the way? I mean, are you?
Yeah, we had 50 minutes until we got to Soroka Hospital, which is in Be'er Sheva. At this time, we taking care of him in the helicopter, giving him a medical treatment.
And you saved his life. I mean, he is alive today. Don't be shy. You saved his life, and it's a wonderful thing. Have you heard from the U.S. military since then? Has there been any contact between either his commanders, or tell me what happened?
Actually, a month later, we got a call from the American Chief of Staff, and we got an invite to celebrate Hanukkah with him and the Israeli Chief of Staff. It was very emotional, very big thing to do and be a part of.
And was Sergeant Turner a part of the gathering?
Yeah, so it was a surprise, but there was a video screen with Zoom, and we saw him live. It was a feeling like being a part of something pretty big.
I have no doubt that Israel will play a special place in his heart for the rest of his life because of this.
I hope so. He's have a big place in our heart too.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're busy. You took time out of your work and your missions to come be with us. This is Lieutenant N from 669 Rescue Unit. Toda rabah.
תודה לכם.
As you can see, while the young men and women of the IDF may not have been born heroes, many have had to become heroes during their service. FIDF and the IDF are committed to doing our part to help these men and women make the most of their lives after completing their military service. We do that by helping them achieve the promise of a higher education and a brighter future. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with FIDF's Impact Scholarship Program, but you may not have heard of FIDF's newer scholarship program, Uniform to University. U2U, as we like to call it, provides college scholarships for those with financial needs, including lone soldiers, new immigrants, soldiers from minority communities, and combat soldiers, so that they can attend college. So far, through U2U, FIDF has helped 1,857 former IDF soldiers from 35 countries realize their dreams of a college education. Let's take a look.
When the pandemic hit, IDF soldiers were tasked with not only defending the front lines, but also protecting the home front. When they step up, we step up. Through FIDF's Uniform to University program, we can make sure that these former soldiers can pursue a higher education, and through that, achieve their dreams and better the future of Israeli society.
Hi, my name is Becky. I'm a sergeant and combat lone soldier from Los Angeles. I serve in the Home Front Command in the Kedem Battalion in the Search and Rescue Unit. Our mission is Atzalat Chaim, which is to save lives. When COVID-19 broke out, the IDF jumped into action. My team and I distributed food packages to elderly people who were alone in their homes and didn't have anyone to help them. We're going up the stairs because there's no elevator there. We knocked on the door, and she just opened the door and she just started crying. It was just the first time where I said, okay, I know I'm doing something good. As I complete my Army service as a combat soldier, I'll be receiving the FIDF scholarship. Another example of how we take care of each other.
The IDF is the army of the people. Soldiers come from different backgrounds, some with complicated financial problems at home. At the end of their IDF service, we open doors for the soldiers wherever possible. FIDF's program allows them to better integrate into society. This is how we create social mobility, and it is of great importance.
My name is Daniel, I'm 26, I'm married and I have a cute daughter. Elaneli, almost 2 years old. I served as a combat soldier, and after my service I received FIDF's scholarship and went on to study for an MBA. As for now, I work as a security guard for the Jerusalem Light Rail, but I really aim for management. Thanks to FIDF, I was able to do the first step in my professional career. It's important for me to promise a bright future for my family. My dad left home when I was a teenager, and I promised myself to be a better father to my children.
As you know, most soldiers of the IDF are drafted, but there are others that feel that call to serve and choose to volunteer, even though they are not required to. Today, we are joined by Lieutenant Ori, who was born completely blind. But that didn't stop her from enlisting in the Israeli Air Force and becoming an officer. Please welcome Lieutenant Ori. Ori, welcome to FIDF Live. We're so happy you could join us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here as well.
Wonderful. So I want to start out by just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Ori, and I'm an officer, a lieutenant in the Israeli Air Force. I am blind since I was born, but my blindness and disabilities didn't stop me to fulfill my dreams and to go through the goals I had in my life. I have a very supporting family that didn't let me to give up.
What made you decide to volunteer? Because you didn't have to serve in the army. Young people with disabilities in Israel are exempt from serving in the military. They don't have to, but you wanted to volunteer.
Today I'm 22 years old, and all my life I studied in regular schools, and I have friends, also blind people, but even people, even normal in quotes, double quotes, people. And I knew from my brothers and friends the stories and the experiences of army that let them a lot of morals and values for life. They enjoyed the army, and the army taught them a lot of values and experience. Also, I didn't saw my disability and my blindness as a fact that give me the right or the privilege not to donate and not to give what I have to give for my country, because I'm a citizen like everyone, and if everyone needs to serve in the army, why shouldn't I do it? Because I am blind. I wanted to give the country what I have, and I wanted to learn what the army has to give me.
Wow, I'm really moved by your answer and the motivation you have to give to the country. You joined the IDF in August of 2017, and your official job was Education NCO, Education Non-Commissioned Officer. What do you do in that job? And this was during your mandatory service.
Yes, exactly. So in the mandatory service, I was an NCO. This job has a lot of parts. First of all, I needed to organize trips and events for flight squadrons in the airbase in order to make the soldiers' service more meaningful, enjoyable, and fun. Another job was to guide people who came to the base, to tell them about the legacy and the history of the airbase. I also helped Olim, new immigrants, to register to Hebrew courses in the army. And that was my work.
So at some point during your mandatory service, Ori, you decide that you want to become an officer. This is a big step. Not all soldiers choose to do this. You did. What made you decide to go to officer school?
I have a feeling that everything I do, I want to do better. If I was a soldier, I want to be an officer. I have great destinations and goals in life. But the first reason was the stronger for me to make this decision. And 2 months before my release date, I started the officer's course.
How was the training? Because I know the officer training is sort of legendary for being difficult. Do you have any memories from the officer's course?
Our training was really the same as the regular training, except of the physical training, like navigations and things like that. That with my blindness, I really can't navigate. But it was hard and difficult, and a lot of learning, and to learn how to command, and legacy and values of the IDF, and to do this step through a soldier that has a responsibility, but not as much as an officer. Although it was hard, it was a very, very pleasant and fun experience.
So Ori, before we let you go, I have one more question. Is there a message that you want to leave everyone with?
So I have a simple message, but a very important one. I believe that everyone has a disability or a limitation. First of all, we need to know our disabilities, but we don't need them to stop us. This is the first one. But the other message is to give opportunities. People with disabilities can do things as well, in the best way, as well as other people. They have a lot of motivation, and we need to give them the opportunity and the motivation, and not to stop them.
Ori, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I so enjoyed talking to you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did.
Thank you.
As a former lone soldier, I love the part of FIDF Live where we meet lone soldiers. These Chayalim Bodedim, as they're known in Hebrew, are the young women and men who have no immediate family in Israel, but they choose to leave the comforts of home and family to serve in the IDF. FIDF provides comprehensive support for these incredible lone soldiers, ranging from providing community, financial grants, flights home to reunite with family, and even housing for those who have nowhere to return on the weekends. Our goal is that while they are alone, they never feel alone. FIDF's new initiative, Warm Home, provides apartments to lone soldiers who serve in combat units at no cost. These beautiful apartments are fully furnished, equipped with all household essentials. They even come with roommates that provide a substitute family. And man, where were you 20 years ago when I was a lone soldier? I would have been the first to sign up for one of these Warm Home apartments. Warm Homes are overseen by coordinators. They're on call 24/7, acting as adoptive parents to address any needs these soldiers might have. With the Warm Home initiative, lone soldiers serving in combat units truly have a place that they can call home. Let's take a look.
אני עדן, אני לוחמת בכיפת ברזל, אני נכנסתי היום לדירה, דירה מדהימה, הכרתי את השותפות החדשות שלי, אנחנו נהיה פה 5 בנות בדירה, הן מדהימות, דירה באמת מהממת, אני מאוד 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 מרוצה ממנה, ואני שמחה שככה נותנים לנו את ההזדמנות להיכנס למקום כזה ושדואגים לנו ככה. אני חיילת בודדה, אני משרתת בחיל האוויר, בכיפת ברזל, אני בחרתי להיות לוחמת כי זה בעיניי מאוד חשוב לתרום למדינה כמה שיותר, וכנראה המדינה גם מחזירה לי, מכניסה אותי לבית כזה יפה וטוב. נותן הרבה כוח ורצון להמשיך. יש לנו פה כל מה שאנחנו צריכות, יש פה מכונת כביסה, יש פה מקלחת, יש פה חדר שהוא לבד, שזה לא ברור מאליו. הביאו לנו את כל הציוד הנדרש בשביל להתקיים ביום יום. יש פה סלון, שזה פינה מאוד חשובה בעיניי, בשביל לשבת ולהירגע. זה דירת לוחמות. כל אחת מהבנות פה היא משרתת ביחידה קרבית, אנחנו לא נמצאות פה הרבה, אבל כשאנחנו מגיעות, אנחנו מגיעות לבית מסודר ובאמת מהמם.
For me, this home is a new opportunity for a better life.
תודה רבה, finally I'm home.
Now, we will visit with Corporal Esther. She's a lone soldier from Long Island, New York. She serves in the Tavor Battalion of the IDF Homefront Command's Search and Rescue Brigade. The Tavor Battalion is adopted by FIDF's Westchester and Connecticut chapters. I used to live in New Rochelle, New York, so hey, a shout out to all my peeps in Westchester, and thank you for your support. Let's meet Esther.
Hi, my name's Esther. I'm from Great Neck, New York, and I'm currently serving as a lone soldier in the Tavor Battalion in the Search and Rescue Brigade. As a child, I grew up going to a Zionistic school. I lived in a Zionistic area, and I visited Israel multiple times with my family growing up. And I would always see the soldiers on the streets going to and from base, and I fell in love with their will to protect the land of Israel. I feel that it's important to come to Israel and serve in the IDF in order to protect our homeland. I chose the Search and Rescue Brigade for my service in the IDF because not only did I want the combat aspect, I also wanted to actively hands-on help people in case of a disaster. After months and months of intense training, practicing saving people on the destruction site for a whole night, doing our Bochan Maslul, which is our obstacle course, we finally got to our Masa Kumta, and even though it was long and hard and we spent many hours walking, what made it all worth it was that I knew that I went through it and I came out a stronger person with all my friends by my side, and it was just amazing, and I'm so proud of everyone that we got through it. Being a lone soldier isn't easy, but the FIDF does everything they can for us to make our lives easier by giving us Aaron's Day or a gift certificate, like a gift card for the supermarket as a gift for Rosh Hashanah, or our Meyuchedet, which is our flight home for a month. And I just really appreciate everything that FIDF does for us. At the end of the day, after a really hard week, everyone's just done, like on the last, standing on their last straw or whatever. They get to go home and refresh with their families, and I don't. I go home to an apartment that doesn't have food because I've been gone for 21 days, and then I have to go shopping and then clean my house, do my laundry, and get myself together and back to in my routine and get myself back together. Hey guys, so I miss you guys a lot, and I'm just thankful for you guys for instilling in me such a love for Israel, and I miss you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you. Sorry. I miss you guys.
FIDF is a vital partnership between you, the supporters, the IDF, and its soldiers. Together, we are protecting and transforming the future of Israel, our home. Together, as we strengthen the country, we are changing lives and creating a brighter future for the soldiers and Israel for years to come. Thank you for making a difference. And please keep this support going and share your passion with others who love Israel as much as you do. Tonight, we introduce you to another one of these heroes, one who doesn't wear a uniform. So let's get to know one of FIDF's most dedicated supporters, Barry Rosenthal from Palm Beach, Florida.
A friend of mine got me involved about 7 years ago. He knew I had a military background and loved the Army, and I love Judaism, love Israel, so why not put the two together? And I don't regret it for 1 second. There's several things that have impacted me, but I think the main one is I have several soldiers that I have scholarships for. And when you meet them in Israel, there's nothing you can do except all break down crying. And that's unusual for me. but it's very emotional. It's something I'll remember my whole life. I still have their pictures up in my kitchen. First of all, they're extremely dedicated to Israel. I mean, here we have a volunteer army, but in Israel, they just can't wait to serve. I mean, it's like almost having your bat mitzvah or getting your acceptance letter to college. When they get accepted, it's a highlight of their lifetime. And I've heard that from many of the soldiers. And they protect our homeland. You know, we have nobody else to protect us and our homeland except the IDF soldiers. And as the FIDF says, their job is to take care of Israel, ours is to take care of them. Meeting the students that you've helped go to college, and when they tell you, I'm getting the chills, when they tell you that they couldn't go to college without you and how much they appreciate it, it literally is heartfelt. It comes from the bottom of their heart and soul. And it's just so important. You know, I just can't help myself but do as much as I can to help the FIDF. They're just so dedicated. You know, Israel cannot lose one war, and they haven't, but they're well trained, their morale is great, and they're just so dedicated to serving their country. They want to serve their country, and I have nothing but praise for them.
And that does it for episode 3 of FIDF Live. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We visited the 669 unit of the Air Force's Elite Search and Rescue Brigade and met Lieutenant N, who together with his team rescued a U.S. soldier from a deadly helicopter crash. What a wonderful conversation we had with Lieutenant Ori, who volunteered to join the IDF despite being exempt from her service. Corporal Esther, thank you for inspiring us with your story as a lone soldier. And one of our own, Barry Rosenthal from Palm Beach, thank you for sharing with us your deepest commitment to FIDF. Together, we are one family with a shared vision for a better future. For more information on Adopt a Unit, U2U, Lone Soldiers, or any of FIDF's programs that you heard about tonight, you can always go to FIDF's website, FIDF.org, and click on How We Help. And please, join us. Sign up to follow Friends of the IDF on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure to mark your calendars for Tuesday, March 30th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our next episode. We'll be celebrating Passover. Oh my gosh, is it already Pesach time? Together with visits and stories that I promise will warm your hearts and inspire your holiday. Invite your family, friends, and all Israel lovers too. You won't want to miss it. I'm Joel Chasnoff.